Not exactly what you were planning to see, was it? Hello from the 757 SPY flight deck. I'm Dave. Welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. If you are new, today is a little bit different. Normally we do just stuff over on Microsoft Flight Simulator, and that's what we're going to do. But one of the questions that came up on the live stream on Twitch was, how do you prepare for the whole flight? Now, a lot of my cold and dark flights that you see here over on YouTube, I've already done the flight planning. I've already placed myself at the airport so that I'm not on top of somebody on VATSIM. And so today I'm doing the whole thing. The only thing that I've gone and done here is I've started up OBS for recording. I turned on the lights, plugged in a microphone, and the only other thing I've done is decided we're going to do a flight from Munich to Frankfurt. We're going to take the A310, we'll fly Lufthansa, and we're going to prepare like we're going to be flying on VATSIM. Not planning on doing the whole flight in this video. That's going to be another video if you want to see the whole flight. This one is just getting ready to go. Okay, so come on over and let's get started. And to get started, the first thing to do after deciding where to fly and what to fly is to open a small NotePad file that I call the flight strip. So let's go on over. Blank screen right here. Haven't started a thing. We're going to be doing a little bit of editing here so we don't end up watching, loading screens and stuff. So this is the flight strip. This is my basic information on the flight. These numbers are from the last flight, so I haven't plugged those in yet. But we do have the top line there, and that says Munich to Frankfurt, so we know where we're going. So let's see here. We are going to be doing a flight, so my first thing to do is let's go to Sim Toolkit Pro, and that's going to take just a second to load here. And through the magic of editing, Sim Toolkit Pro is ready to go. Here we are. Let's go ahead and get a basic flight plan. We'll start out here, and I usually start with the aircraft first. So A310. I have several up here. We're going to use Lufthansa. DAIDD is the tail number I'm going to be using for this A310. And we're going to be departing from Munich, EDDM. So put that in there. We're going to be flying to EDDF, Frankfurt, and you can see some of the flights. So let's see, what do we got? Lots of Lufthansa flights. Looks like FedEx flies a 777 there, but we're going to take the A310 because it's the cool new airplane, at least right now. Flight and schedule, we're going to give ourselves a call sign, which is DLH 441. We'll come over to the next field, flight number, flight 441. Our departure time, the usual departure time on the SPY flight is 1930 Zulu. 1930? No, 1935 Zulu. Yeah, that's right. And let's see, we're going to use the Lido style of charts. That's the default style in SimBrief. It's an Airbus. We're going to plan in kilograms, kgs. And I usually go ahead and I add in about 30 minutes of extra fuel, especially if I'm going to fly on VATSIM. The next thing that I will go and take a look at is I'm going to look over at SkyVector and see where we've got a little bit of ATC. And let's see what's going on here. There is Lowy is up and running. We've got another, here is that's Nuremberg. Nothing really is going on here in Munich for the moment. Frankfurt, on the other hand, we do have a little bit of ATC, so I'm just hovering over Frankfurt, and it says that the vectors for ILS approach 25 left, or 25 right. So let's get that notepad here. So 25 left or right. I'm just going to note that down so that I know what it is that they're doing as far as arrivals and departures. Now then, the next thing I can do is open another tab, go to FlightAware. You can use Flight Radar 24. This is just looking at what's going on in the real world, EDDM. And here comes Munich. And so we'll look down and see what's going on with Munich. And one of the fastest ways to see what's going on is you can see that Munich is landing and taking off to the west. So that's important to know. While we're down here, let's go to the bottom of the web page here, and you can see that Munich has its METAR right down there. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut and paste this back into my notepad, and that looks pretty good. And that's wrong, that's not Munich, that's the Frankfurt line. So we're going to go ahead and put this here in Frankfurt. Now then, trying to remember all of the runway numbers is impossible. I know that they're taking off towards the west right now, so the next thing that I'm going to do is start up Navigraph charts. And here comes Navigraph charts. It's usually pretty quick. And I'm going to go to the search box and go EDDM. Here's Munich. Let's look down here and open the charts. We're going to get a taxi chart, and I'm going to look at the airport just real briefly to see what it is that's going on. Usually Munich goes and takes off and lands on 26. I think they land them on 26 right and take them off on 26 left. Looking over here, it looks like we're landing somebody over here. They were landing somebody, it looked like, over there on 26 left. My guess is they would take us off on 26 left, although these two airplanes did take off on 26 right. So I don't have an official ATIS for them right now. I don't know what VATSIM's going to do, but I'm just taking 30 seconds to have a look and see what's going on to make the determination that I think it's 26 right. So I think I'm going to plan for 26 right for my departure runway. And I'm going to just note this here and keep that in there on the notepad. Get this out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do is, since I've already got flight aware up, EDDF, I'm just going to look and see what's going on in the real world. Always nice to see EDDF, Frankfurt. There's the Frankfurt airport. I'm just going to have a quick look at them right now. It's a little bit early for our flight. Looks like they're also taking off to the south too. But yeah, it does look like they're doing the 2.5s. But I'm going to go down and just use the resource down here and grab a METAR, because this is already set up. And that way I can just have a little bit more complete information here for my flight planning purposes. Let's see, because I don't remember all of the runways, I'm going to go over here and let's go back. EDDF. Let's just look at Frankfurt, because again, how do you remember every runway in the world? Some people can. That is not one of my gifts. So we do know that they are landing on 2.5 left and right. So there's 2.5 left, there's 2.5 right. I don't think that they're going to bring us in on 2.5 right unless they need to. I think that's kind of what they'll do for cargoes and overflow. So 2.5 left is what I think I'm going to plan for. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that right side. And now I know what kinds of runways they're going to be using. All right, we're going to get rid of Navigraph. We're going to move the web browser over here. And now I'm going to plan my runways. By doing it this way, one of the things is you know how some airports have SIDs and stars that are runway specific? This way I'm going to get a SID and a star that is, if you're new, a departure and an arrival that is customized to the runway in case we're going to an airport that has those things. So we're departing on 26 right, and we are arriving on 25 left. And that's all I'll do. Now, if it's a special VATSIM event, those VATSIM events like Cross the Pond, they're going to give you your flight route too. And you have to check your reservation page on that. We're not doing a VATSIM event or anything like that. This is where it says specific routing. That's where you would go and plug in the routing. We're not going to do that, so it's time to generate a flight plan. And here comes the flight plan. There's the green bar as it goes across. It's building the maps. And we are going. Looking pretty good here. And here's our flight plan. What I next do is I'm going to go up here and just highlight that whole flight plan route. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put this in the second line. There is my route. And again, I'm clipping this into the description. You can copy and paste it into NotePad and use it as you want to. Oh, wow, you really do hear the furnace going on. We're expecting snow again today. About 5 inches, I believe. Perfect weather for flight simming, right? All right, let's go ahead and do export, and we're going to export an OPF. and that's going to open another browser window. And then this is going to be the basic flight plan package that SimBrief gives us. Again, I'm using the Lido style of charts. It's default, it's what a lot of airlines use, so let's use that one. And you can see I hit save, and I've got something on my desktop called Active Plan, and you can see the active plan has been saved. Now then, I'm doing a flight plan for 4 hours from now. I've got an online meeting to attend, so I can't fly this until this afternoon. So I'm not going to pre-file my flight plan on VATSIM yet, but this is where you could go and pre-file your flight plan on VATSIM. We're not going to do that. So now we're done with this. I'm going to slide that out of the way, and let's go ahead and get that flight plan. Over here, here it is. And so one of the things that I'm going to do is, even though I've got this nice big, 40-page flight plan, I'm going to go and take a couple of bits and pieces out of this and put this over in my notes, just so it's easier for me to condense the information that I need. First thing it is, I'm going to look at my cruise altitude, and we're flying at flight level 240. I'm going to put that in right there. Our air distance is 274 miles, so 274, and I'll add a little space in there just to keep everything nicely lined up. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll just copy my 0 fuel weight, and I'm going to go ahead and just put this in right here at the top for a 0 fuel weight. I'm going to copy and paste my block fuel, and that's going to go over here in the block fuel column. And then if you've flown with me, you know that I also keep track of final reserve and alternate fuel. That's mostly for long haul events, and I'm going to copy and paste that too. Okay, so that's information off the first page. I already know that I'm going to be going Mach 0.80. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to page 2, and at the top of page 2, it shows me what my alternate is. I'm just going to note this down here, EDDL. The next thing I'm going to do is go to page 3. This gives me passenger information, and so that's going to be 217 passengers. So I'm going to put that in there. My cargo is going to be 6.0 kg, and that's all I'm going to grab from there. Block time for today's flight is going to be 1 hour and 10 minutes. That's one of the questions I get all the time on the live stream. How long is this flight? And so I also put a little bit of information in here. And it's kind of the same thing that real-world passengers are asking too. And then if I really want to keep track of times, and in some cases, in some VATSIM events, you absolutely have to, I'm going to copy and paste my out, off, on, and in times. This is particularly important if you're going to fly what I'm going to call a slotted VATSIM event. Slotted meaning you have a specific departure slot or time, and you have to be ready to take off at that time. Otherwise, you get to spend a lot of time sitting around waiting, and that's no fun. Okay, now it's all filled out. I have passenger info, cargo, duration of the flight, distance, 0 fuel weight, cost index. We don't get a cost index out of this flight plan file. What we do get is Mach 0.80, so we've got that. For the A310 right now, I'm just pulling a number out of thin air for a cost index, and that's 60, and so that's how I'm doing that. We've got fuel, final reserve, and times, and flight plan, and weather. Wow, we are all set and ready to go. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to move those over to the other screen. I'm going to minimize the big old flight plan PDF file, and now it's time to go and start Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what I do is, here is the splash screen, and it syncs the data and launches the game. And now we're going to enjoy the magic of editing. And yay, editing. Microsoft Flight Simulator is all set up and ready to go. So we've got our flight plan. Let's go ahead and do world map. We're going to be flying the Airbus A310. We are going to change our livery. We're going to be flying Lufthansa. So let's go ahead and get that. And we are going to Munich, EDDM. So let's click in Munich here, and it's going to zoom on in. Now, for the purpose of talking about a VATSIM event, if you're just going to fly by yourself now, just go pick one of these points. See, right now, it's set to put us at the end of runway 26 left. And that means you're going to be all ready for takeoff. That's the fast flight option that I think is just default. But if you want to start a cold and dark flight, you need to pick a gate or something like this. So let's go back here and get a few things set up for us. First, we're going to go back to Navigraph, and let's go down here, and we're going to click the airplane that's right below the search, and we're going to do import flight, import from SimBrief, and we're going to click it, Munich to Frankfurt, and open. And once it opens, let's go ahead and just close out of that, and this should put us right about, well, it's right in the middle of the ocean right now because we haven't put our airplane into the flight simulator. Okay, so Munich to Frankfurt. Let's go over here and start at Munich, and we're going to go to charts. I'm going to go to taxi, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get parking stands, and I usually go out on the east side. And so I'm going to look here. This is where we're going to go. And let's go ahead and plan for something like 248. So gate 248 or 247. That's a nice clean gate. So then, little rabbit hole here, but we are going to be on VATSIM and we don't want to spawn on anybody. So the next thing that I do is I go back to SimAware and we look for Munich. So here's Munich, and you can see there's a bunch of airplanes here at the airport. And now you can kind of see there is our departure concourse. We were talking about going for 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think we were talking about 4 gates down. 4 gates down. They're laughing and drinking and having a party. It's very old Dolly Parton. But you can look 1, 2, 3, 4. No little green things there. So if we go and decide to go for 247, we know that we're not going to spawn on somebody once we get onto VATSIM. So come on over here, and we're going to look for gate 247. There it is. Click it, and then change this to set as departure. That's it. Now we're ready to go. Let's hit fly. And so this is going to be popping up here. And I think now is a perfect opportunity to enjoy the magic of editing. And we are all ready to go. You can see that the airplane is at the gate, the engines are off, the power is off, and you can see it says we're ready to fly. So let's hit ready to fly, and oh my goodness. Yeah, this airplane does its little power down thing like this, so you get to hear all the fans and stuff. So we do know that we are at gate 247. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to, here on my gates tab, I'm going to put in 247, okay? That way we know that we're going to be at gate 247. Next thing that I'm going to do is go and get vPilot. vPilot, of course, is how we talk on VATSIM. And even though we're not quite set up to do the whole flight, let's go ahead and get onto VATSIM. So let's go ahead. Here's vPilot. I have, by the way, changed the font sizes. Wow, has that made a big difference. So you can blow those up a little bit in the, you can make the fonts, you can change the font and make them bigger and smaller in settings. So let's go ahead and connect. And we are connected on VATSIM. So then I'm going to go and slide this over to the other monitor and immediately go outside the airplane. And I'm going to look off to the side, and I'm going to just make sure that I did not indeed spawn on anybody. And you can hear other airplane noises. And I'll bet, yep, there's an airplane on VATSIM over there. So we're good to go on that one. The next thing that I'll do is come in here, and if there is ATC where we are at, there will be an ATIS usually listed down here. And I'll double click on that, and the official ATIS is going to pop into the text window here. So I will have their current ATIS all set and ready to go as far as when it's time to call in and do clearance. That way you can say, Information Juliet is aboard, and that really impresses the controllers. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to go back here, and let's go to EDDM again, go to charts, and now we're going to go and we're going to get the charts that we need for the flight. So taxi, I usually get parking stands. I go ahead and get the airport chart, and you see I'm clicking the little thumbtack, and all of these appear along the bottom. I call this the stack of charts. Old days pilots, when they had paper charts, they'd stack them up in the order that they needed them for the flight. Well, we kind of stack them up sideways down here in Navigraph. I'm going to look over at my flight plan, and my flight plan says we're doing the give 'em 1 November departure. So let's go over here to SIDS for departure. And they're usually, especially the European airports, they've got a gazillion departures and arrivals. So I'm going to use the filter and do GIVM. And now this just gives me all the give-ems, and we need the one labeled 1 November. So there's 6 alpha. Hey, look at that. There's 1 November right there. And I'm going to hit the little thumbtack, and now that's down on the charts. Let's go ahead and clear out the filter, the search filter. I'm going to go back. Let's go to Frankfurt. We're going to go to charts. I'm going to go, and our arrival is going to be the FAWU 2 alpha. I don't know how to pronounce it, but we're going to go and do FAWUR, FAWUR, FAWU. And we need the 2 alpha. There's 2 Charlie, there's 2 alpha. Perfect. The next thing we're going to do is go to approaches. You got to clean out the search filter so that you can get the ILSs, and we want runway 25 left. So go down here, there's 25 left. Now, remember that we read in the ATIS for Frankfurt that they might also have us land on 25 right. Those are the 2 active runways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also go down here, and I'm going to just grab the ILS Zulu for the arrival, the other runway. That way, if they change it, it's already right there, and I've just saved a lot of time while we're super duper busy. Next thing I'm going to do is go to taxi charts. We're going to go and do the airport. I'm going to go down a little bit here and do parking stands. Here's parking stands east. And one of the last things that I'm going to do is I'm going to just look over here and take 10 seconds and pick a gate, A20. And I'm going to put this over here, and we can go. And that way, when we come in to land, if ground control asks us where we want to park, I've got an answer. Now, if you want to really jump down a rabbit hole, you could go to Flight Radar 24 or FlightAware and see what a real-world plane is doing. The European airports don't have a lot of really great gate information. American airports are a little bit better about that. I think it's a security type of a thing that they're thinking. But anyway, that way you can go and have some gate information all ready to go. And I mean, at this point in time, the only thing that I would need to do is come over here into Sim Toolkit Pro. If it were closer to my departure time of 1935 Zulu, I would go ahead and hit Prefile. So here's the VATSIM Prefile. It's going to launch a web browser. I'm going to just briefly look in. It will auto-populate for me. DLH 441, IFR, A310, Munich to Frankfurt, flight level 240. Compare that with my flight plan. It looks good. Give them Ernie, FAWUR, 2 alpha. Those look right. And then you would hit File. Again, it's a little bit too early on this one. I think you can pre-file 2 hours before flight time or something along those lines. So anyway, all that is good to go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is change my network, and that's something for the live stream, and then hit the Fly Now button, and that way Sim Toolkit Pro is tracking my flight and recording my embarrassingly high landing rates and stuff. And that's just it. I mean, this is how it is that I will go about setting up a flight. Look at that. The gate number even matches the one that we think we're at. This is a really cool payware airport. I do suggest this one. There's also some nice, other nice airports for Germany. There's an airplane over there on VATSIM. There's an airplane over there on VATSIM. So then now at this point in time, it's time to hop into the cockpit and do cockpit things. Couple more things let me show you here. First of all, go over here to the plug. And then one of the things that I will do is I will click chocks, put those in place. I will call a jetway. And I just, for a little bit of immersion and airplane geek fun, I'm going to go ahead and while the jetway's coming out, I'm going to open up my cargo bays. Just because I, want to be you know, a little more immersive. Okay, and as the jetway comes into place, and there's our jetway, which, by the way, here at Munich has clear sides. Note to people designing jetways, please let us see outside the jetway. It's the cool stuff. Next thing I'm going to do is go down and hit the weights page, and I'm going to look over at my data here, and over here on this, I can go and put in my passengers. So passengers up here in the upper left, 217, and so we'll click it. Click the 0, 217, confirm. Cargo is the one right below it, 6.0.0, confirm. Fuel is going to be 10.3. If we're going to be in a longer VATSIM event, I might add a little bit of even more fuel. If this is a big VATSIM event, maybe an additional 2 to 3 kg, just in case I think there's going to be a long delay. And then at this point, we hit apply, we hit live. That way you can't change the numbers. And this gives us a 0 fuel weight, and we're all ready to go. Now is the time where we would go and start flipping switches and pushing buttons and programming flight management computers and be all ready to go. And that's really the video that I was going to do for you on my complete setup. This is how it is that you avoid spawning on another airplane. This is how you have all the information that you need for a complete flight, and you're all set and ready to go. So what I was going to do is I've got to go and make breakfast. I need to go and get ready to do a meeting, one of those online meeting things with Twitch, and then come back and look for another video a little bit later on today, and we'll go ahead and fly this the flight that we just set up. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I always like to say about my my YouTube videos, this is not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is a flight simulator, and this is just what it is that I've found that works for me. I'm still very new here on YouTube. Very new on YouTube, so I'm still reading all the questions and comments. If you have questions, comments, suggestions for a YouTube video, please put them all there. Also, if you're interested in flying with us, we fly live on Twitch, Tuesday through Sunday, 1900 Zulu, and you're always welcome. Every one of those flights is a group flight. If you are new and flying around in flight sim, usually the first flight is a real low-key flight that if you're a beginner, we're going to be able to help you get going on this, because there's, as you can see, a lot of little rabbit holes to jump down, and we're going to kind of show you how to make those work. As always, I do want to say a huge thank you to the subscribers over on Twitch, and also some of the really generous donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. It's dorky, I say it all the time, but it comes from the heart. You are the jet fuel in my flight plan, and thank you so much. I will look forward to seeing you back here on YouTube a little bit later on today in this incredibly cool airplane. But as I always like to say, stay healthy, stay safe, and see you in the friendly sim skies.